Hello everyone, I'm Christopher Parks and I want to share with you an instructional video on how to develop ethical pastoral counseling. This video will give 9 steps, including step 1, build rapport and develop trust. Step 2, use open-ended questions. Step 3, how to use active listening and reflection. Step 4, providing confidentiality. Step 5, providing informed consent. Step 6, addressing harm. Step 7, acknowledging pastoral counselor responsibility and accountability. Step 8, addressing self-determination and autonomy for the congregant. And step 9, avoiding imposition of values and countertransference.
Listen to me. You, come on now. Come on, listen to me. I've been sent here to save you.
This first scene will cover steps 1, 2, and 3. Building rapport, using open-ended questions, and understanding active listening and reflection. Building rapport and developing trust includes establishing connections, effective communication, and understanding the views of the congregant. According to Section A of the ACA Ethics Code, trust is the cornerstone of the counseling relationship. Counselors must both be responsible and respect the congregant's rights and privacy as well as confidentiality. And the counselor must actively attempt to understand the culture and background of the congregant. The pastoral counselor is also responsible for understanding how their values and beliefs affect the counseling process. We best communicate by using open-ended questions and active reflective listening. And this can be a bit hard for the pastoral counselor to get away from listening without giving direction, guidance, and advising. As pastoral counselors, we must focus our needs on listening to the congregant and turn the volume down on that internal chatter and biases that we have. The minister who counsels must learn the effective listening skills of paraphrasing the congregant's content, reflecting their feelings, and summarizing what has been heard in the counseling session. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
I'm Pastor Chris.
I'm Mary.
All right, good to meet you.
You too.
Come on in and have a seat. So tell me a little bit about what brings you in today.
Well, I've been having some grieving issues. About a month ago, I lost my aunt. We were very close.
Okay. So for about the last month, you've been grieving in reference to the loss of your aunt. I'm so sorry to hear that you have been going through this.
Thank you. Yes, at home, my family noticed that, I haven't been, doing my daily tasks or different things that I do around the house. I normally have not been doing them. My husband and children have noticed those things. I also have been having some problems sleeping and resting at night.
Okay. So after the loss of your aunt, you started to grieve, and that grief is now affecting things at home, and your family is starting to notice that.
Yes.
So what I want to do is just talk to you a little bit about pastoral counseling, be able to help you through that grief and how it's affecting your household, and tell you a little bit about expectations that you should have of me as a pastoral counselor, as well as a congregant within the church, what I expect of you. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Scene 2 of this instructional video will cover steps 4, 5, and 6. Step 4 is to provide confidentiality. Step 5 is to provide informed consent. And step 6 is to address harm. The pastoral counselor must inform the congregant of the counseling services that they are able to provide. As pastoral counselor accountability, this means addressing the skills, the experience, and also referrals if the pastoral counselor is not able to provide those services. As a pastoral counselor, it is up to the counselor to mitigate any harm that could be either intentional or unintentional. In addressing harm, the ACA Code of Ethics defines non-maleficence as avoiding actions that cause harm to the congregant. And beneficence is defined as working for the good of the individual and society by promoting mental health and well-being. As pastoral counselors, we must consider giving enough information that the congregant can make a decision about whether they want to be involved in that pastoral counseling relationship. Mary, I want to talk to you now about confidentiality, being able to make an informed consent. That's talking about expectations of counseling, and also some exceptions to confidentiality. So as we discuss confidentiality, that is, as a pastor and you being a congregant here at the church, I will not share any of your information with anyone without your consent. That means members of the church, not in any conversation, or anyone outside the church. That is confidentiality. There are some exceptions to confidentiality. If you share information with me about wanting to harm yourself, wanting to harm someone else, or you know of or have witnessed harm to a child or someone that's elderly, those are exceptions to confidentiality, and I'm required by law to report those exceptions. I'd like to ask you a couple questions about confidentiality and exceptions to confidentiality. Are you wanting to harm yourself today?
No.
Are you thinking of harming someone else?
No.
Do you know of or have witnessed harm to an elderly or a child?
No, I do not.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about pastoral counseling and expectations. As a pastoral counselor, I am here for your spiritual guidance and also spiritual welfare. As your pastor, I'm not a professional counselor. If we discuss something that you felt is outside of my scope of practice and it needs to be, you need help with it, then I would refer you to someone outside of pastoral counseling. When I make that referral, what I would consider is someone that would think of and consider your faith background and what you believe. I have a list of referrals that I would go to and choose someone from that list to refer you to. What do you feel about those expectations?
I appreciate, the fact that you are concerned about my spiritual welfare and that you would keep this, our sessions in confidentiality. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. The final scene of the video will cover step 8, which is addressing self-determination and autonomy, and step 9, avoiding imposition of values. In addressing self-determination and autonomy, The ACA Code of Ethics defines autonomy as fostering the right to control the direction of one's life. The congregant has a right to self-determination and autonomy, and the pastoral counselor should foster a counseling relationship and environment where the congregant feels they can discuss things as they pertain to themselves. Avoiding imposition of values requires great balance for the pastoral counselor. The pastoral counselor should be both a spiritual guide and also at the same time considering the congregant's values. The counselor needs to address the inherent power and authority that the congregant expects being a pastor or minister. The congregant should also understand the roles and expectations during counseling. The imposition of a therapist's values undermines the client's freedom of choice, even if those values are religious values. And likewise, there must be sensitivity to the religious and spiritual values of the client. So understanding countertransference could help with balancing and avoiding imposition of values. Countertransference is defined as transferring from the therapist to the congregant. And this may include emotions, attitudes, and behaviors of the pastoral counselor related to both personal and professional experience. And this results in harmful treatment outcomes and must be avoided. So Mary, during our sessions, I'm going to be addressing and counseling and helping you to cope with your grief, as well as ways for you to help with the things that are going on with your family. And how motivated are you to be a part of this counseling?
I am very motivated. I want to feel normal again. I want to be able to get back to doing the things that I have always have done. I want to be able to, have a better relationship with my family.
Well, that's great, because your motivation is a vital part of counseling. During our counseling sessions, you can rest assured that I'm going to consider your thoughts, your values, and your beliefs. I'm here to counsel you. I'm not here to preach to you. So you can also be assured that I'm not going to undermine your thoughts by imposing my own values. What that means for you is that as a counselor, I have expectations from you to be a part of your counseling sessions, and you have an expectation from me to counsel you and not to impose my own values. Do you understand those expectations?
Yes, I do understand. It is.